Hi everybody, I'm in Seodaemun Prison History Hall. I will tell you today a few things about this interesting place. Seodaemun is a modern prison built by Japanese imperialists. It was opened in October 1808 and used as a prison for 80 years until it was shut down in 1887. The prison buildings are made of red bricks and set up in a panoptic-shaped structure that allowed the watchmen at the center to monitor inmates effectively. During the Japanese colonial period, through 1910 to 1945, many anti-Japanese independence activists, such as Dosan, who I will speak about later, were imprisoned here for their fight against the brutal colonial regime. After 1945, the prison housed a number of democracy activists who resisted the various authoritarian and military regimes which ruled South Korea during the 1950s to the 1980s. This is a very important place for the South Korea contemporary history because this is the hall where we can pay tribute to 5,000 persons who gave their lives for national independence. This prison has been through many different names through its history. Originally it was named Gyeongseong Prison. The jail was renamed Seodaemun Prison in 1912. Then they changed their name to Seodaemun Criminal Prison in 1923. Then to Seoul Criminal Prison in 1945, then to Seoul Prison in 1961, and then Seoul Detention Center in 1967. After the Seoul Detention Center was moved to other place in 1987, all the facilities were demolished except for the structures with historical significance, such as the administration building, prison buildings number 9 to 12, and the execution site. This site was reopened in November 5 of 1998 as Seodaemun Prison History Hall to preserve the historical place as a symbol of national independence and democratization movement. Seodaemun Prison History Hall reinforced to the world the invaluable importance of freedom and peace.
Many touristic sites of Seoul try to show the joyful image of the developed city, but Seodaemun Prison shows the dark side of our colonial history. I visited there a few times. Sunny day, it looks like a park, just a little strange, but cloudy or rainy day, it is the place very special, so gloomy and very sad, almost horrible. I think the space of Seodaemun Prison today is good for teaching what happened. There's no doubt about the value of this historical evidence. But it is complicated point how much we want to present the violence and the cruel act of Japan. It's true what happened. And now what can we do? What kind of emotion we do have? Respect to the brave man, or condolence, or anger for justice? I don't know. So 서대문 형무소 is the place important but difficult to say. Yeah.
Now I'm in the Dosan Park, who was built in commemoration of the great patriot Dosan and Chang-Ho, who dedicated himself to the recovery of the nation's sovereignty and independence. He also sought to educate and enlighten the public. Dosan was prisoner in the Seodaemun prison. He was arrested in 1937 and he died in 1938. He passed away at the Kyungsung University Hospital, unfortunately before witnessing the liberation of Korea.
I'm ashamed to say, frankly, I didn't know well about Dosan and Chang-Ho. Just I knew he's very important person in the history of Korean independent movement as philosopher and educator. I read an episode testified by other prisoner who was in the next room of Dosan and Chang-Ho. In 1932, the prisoners guilted by independent movement, they had their way to communicate by knocking the wall between the cells. It called 타벽 통보법. It was very similar to Morse code, but depend on Korean language, Hangul. So when the new prisoner entered the prison, someone of the next room had to teach this skill. But when Dosan entered to the prison, he was already very famous and powerful figure, so he was monitored hardly by prison officers. The young prisoner of the next room of Dosan told us it was very difficult to catch the chance to communicate with Dosan under the vigilance. During reading his testimony, I can feel that the young prisoner had huge admiration to Dosan and Chang-Ho and worried about his healthy condition because Dosan was 55 years old and situation of Seodaemun prison was incredibly hard.